What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mike. Welcome to the Soul by Soul YouTube channel. We have a very special video in store for you. Today we're talking about the 10 best dunks of 2022. We appreciate you tuning in today. If you like what you see in today's video, please feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. As I said, 10 best dunks of 2022. It's been a ride, and if you look at the trajectory of dunks and what Nike has done, they have not taken their foot off of the gas. I think we also have a great set of dunks this year. When we go through this list, it's in no particular order. You know, we can't ruin any surprises for our sneaker of the year video that's coming up. We're gonna list the 10 dunks that we feel like are the best this year. The first dunk we'd like to mention are none other than the orange lobsters. These recently came out in the month of December and people were going crazy. The initial release saw a whole package that came with a bear brick, I believe 2 bear bricks, and the retail price was $350. That didn't stop people from going from the sneaker. That didn't stop the bots from going for this sneaker. And you know, I think it's a really great way for concepts to round out the year. If you are lucky enough to get these sneakers, please leave a comment for us and let us know how they look in person. The next sneaker on the list are gonna be the Jackie Robinson Dunks. These were a sleeper, I think, this year. Frankie is like in love with these sneakers. He couldn't get them for retail. I think he might still get them on the resale market. They're quite high. When you look at the sneaker though, it's nicely done. You know, the infusion of numbering throughout this sneaker, the bold color, you know, an ode to Jackie Robinson and baseball. I myself would want to get my hands on these sneakers. I think in a collection of dunks, this would be a standout pair. It's not, you know, a basic colorway. It's something that gives you a little bit more, and I think the material looks good on that sneaker. Next up, I have it right behind me. We're talking about the Huff Dunks. This was to commemorate Keith Huffingall, the founder of Huff, who tragically passed away. But as you see here, they really did their thing to commemorate 2 cities that were a part of his story and journey. So there is a New York pair that I don't have in hand, but this is the San Francisco pair. On the back of the sneaker, on the heel, you see kind of the city line, skyline. It says Keith Forever on the back, and the materials are really good. If you're looking at something like a Panda Dunk and you're like, hey man, the materials and all of that, that's too basic for me, you could get one of these sneakers. This sneaker is very premium actually. I like the incorporation of the Huff in the front with the little Nike symbol, and surprise, surprise, if you cut through this layer in the middle of the sneaker, there's actually a tie-dye commemorating one of the first collaborations on the dunk that Huff had. Next up, we're talking about the HBCU dunks. The entire rollout, I think they're all sort of nice in their own right, you know, really going off of the colors and identity of the colleges that it pinpointed. It's nice that Nike is taking a step forward and working with HBCUs, and there were a bunch of campaigns throughout the year. I think that needs to continue. It's a huge brand, a huge company. Definitely work with these types of organizations to strengthen them, to strengthen the partnership, to make sure, you know, the students are getting good swag on campus, but also scholarships or whatever else monetarily can be tied to it. A friend of the channel, Ben, he has a pair of these, and I saw them in person. I'm like, yeah, the HBCUs, they're kind of all bangers. Next on the list are the Setsuban Dunks. I believe this was a Japan release. I eyed this sneaker because it said that it would release and I wanted them, but I don't believe it released in the USA. I might still try to get this sneaker. There's something about brown with me, especially during the fall season. I just think it hits. I believe the composition of the sneaker, it just works really well. You know, having the bold hits of brown, but then also purple. It's a nice dunk, and I think it's something that stands out amidst sort of like the two-tone dunks that are a little bit more simple. Next up, we have the Bart Simpson Dunks. These were, you know, another standout. I think whenever there's a collaboration with a famous TV show, cartoon, it's hit or miss. They don't get the color palette quite right, or they don't get the identity of the character or characters quite right, or the show itself. But I think with these Barts, they did their thing. When you look at it, it touches on all the colors of that character. Another sort of sleeper. I don't find that many people are talking about it, although leading up to it, it was a sneaker that people are like, oh wow, this is cool. When does this release? Then we have the size Dunks actually in here with me today. This was a release that was tied to the EU brand size, and as you see, they kind of went in on their detail as well. They did more of a exposed foam on the tongue, a fatter tongue. You know, they're playing off of a lighter beige color and then a brown color. The laces, just a different material, and you know, a two-tone lace, and that blue and green and orange hit on the sneaker. So I think they did a good job with this sneaker. Also something that you don't commonly see, and I feel like that's what Dunks are sort of about. You know, having some in your collection that, yes, are easily wearable, but then others that are just like, you haven't seen them, they're sort of out of this world, a bunch of different colors meshed together, but it works well. So I think that captures the essence of what, you know, the fun of Dunks are. Next, I want to talk about another pack. That is the Fruity pack. This one also went under the radar. Maybe this list are just Dunks that went under the radar this year, but are the best Dunks of the year. The Fruity pack had a bunch of sneakers in its collection, I believe 4. I think there's also a Dunk High. We don't really talk about Dunk Highs that much, but I think this was just cool that they sort of like captured a fruit, i.e. apple, blueberry, in the pack. And you know, this is another collector's item thing. If you're looking like, oh, I want to get this whole pack, then you could try to find each one, and I think this is a good display item. But then I think they also serve their purpose in terms of when you're wearing what sneaker. So I think this was cool. We didn't have too many Dunk packs, but I like that Nike did this one and it wasn't really a collaboration. Next, we're talking about the vintage green Dunks. This was actually a women's release. I actually wanted this sneaker, but my sizing just wasn't there. I believe it went up to a 10.5 men's. I like this sneaker from jump. When they explained that this would be releasing and we got previews, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, an uptick in quality. Something about me, I just can't get behind sort of like the material on the Panda Dunks and Dunks of that caliber. I need something that's a little bit more, because you're paying so much money for these sneakers. You want them to last, and you also want them to remain, you know, pristine and look good. Yes, there's cleaning methods. You should definitely rock your sneakers, but you want them to look how they came out the box for a little while. Some sneakers, yeah, you want to sort of beat up and get that broken in feel, but I just can't take it when the materials are so trash, you know? So with these sneakers, it looks to me that the materials are better. Finally, to round out this video, we're talking about none other than the sneakers in my background at the top, the Union Dunks. So this sneaker, I believe, came out in April. You know, Union was going off of this idea of not getting sneakers because they were region locked. You know, so they brought that, something from the past, to us in the present. And I think this is also cool because if you tear away this layer of ripstop material, you have another sneaker essentially underneath with some leather, and it just gives the sneaker a different feel. There's another set of laces. So I think it's dynamic. I think it's something different. And I think they really went with an ode to back in the day. All right, y'all, that is going to do it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Soul by Soul YouTube channel. You can leave a comment. Tell us what your 10 best Dunks are of 2022. Do you think that Nike and Dunks have the juice in 2023? I'm not so sure. I feel like it's going down a little bit. You see some of the resale value, third-party market, and you could get some of these sneakers that maybe a few years ago would have been $500, $600, $700. So I think that is good because some of the colorways that are just different and dynamic you can get, but at the same time, it's a little interesting that they've gone overload with the Dunks. Definitely follow us on the gram at _soul by soul. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Until Until next time, y'all, happy holidays. Peace.